Please maximize your screen.
That's my question.
Yes. So, sing.
Hello everyone. A great evening to all the lovely intellectual people present here. E-Physioneeds Academy welcomes you all. We are very glad to see you all here to grace the occasion of the launch for E-Physioneeds. Our founder, Dr. Chakshu, always had a vision of making education simple and effective. Her perseverance and inspiration has always given us a platform to perform. Professor Krishna N. Sharma, a young, dynamic academician, has been instrumental in pursuing the vision, and he needs a special appreciation for his efforts. We are not 100% perfect, but our efforts should always be focused in perfection. Many of you are already aware that we have been working really hard over 11 months for where we are today, and we are ready to move ahead with the exciting new venture. I would like to introduce our two panelists and moderator. Dr. Chakshu, a PhD scholar, has a great mastery in dry needling, manual therapy, taping, and many other special techniques. She is an author of 2 books and is 3 times world record holder. She is the first person to hold a world record in dry needling and taping. She has trained more than 10,000 healthcare professionals and celebrity physios across India, Africa, and Gulf. She is spine of a successful chain of clinics, Pain-Free Zone. The E-Physioneeds Academy comes another step after her reputable institution, Physioneeds Academy, an academy that has built its name through accredited practical courses. Our second panelist is Associate Professor Krishna N. Sharma, the Vice Chancellor of Victoria University, Uganda, is a world record holder, educator, researcher, and a prolific author with 28 bestsellers out of his more than 135 published books. I would like to welcome and congratulate the panelists to create difference in healthcare industry. So here, I'd like to introduce our moderator for the evening, Advocate Devesh Tuli, who will be taking over from me. Advocate Devesh Tuli has completed his bachelor's in Commerce and LLB from Delhi and has done his MBA in Marketing from Symbiosis Pune. He is practicing for almost a decade in the various courts across Delhi NCR. He is a legal advisor for various companies and clinics across Delhi and NCR. So, I welcome you all to this prestigious launch.
Thank you, Kanika.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Kanika, for that lovely introduction for all of us. So now we do have a lot of challenges in our clinical practice. So I just wanted to know, how do we keep up with these challenges? We have one of our instructors online, Dr. GD. Good evening, Dr. GD. We would like to hear from you, as you are a person who has just graduated a decade back. So what are the challenges that you face in clinical practice?
Yes, Dr. J, you're audible.
that's indeed a very good feedback from Dr. GD. So Dr. Chakshu, after hearing this young physio, I would like to ask that as you are an experienced scholar in terms of you have gained knowledge from various countries like Canada, South Africa. You are an entrepreneur and owner of the elite pain-free zone clinic. You also have trained as a good trainer, thousands of students across the world. And you also are an employer to a number of employees that are working under pain-free zone under your guidance. So how do you deal with these kind of challenges that come across to you, and how do you make your staff cope up with these challenges?
Thank you, Advocate Devesh. First of all, I would like to emphasize on the basic curriculum. I do agree with Dr. GD as he mentioned that of course there are many flaws in the basic curriculum, but I would say that only not in the curriculum, but as an individual, as a student, when we go in the bachelor's, the first year, we are not really well oriented. Moreover, we don't get that orientation from our teachers as well. If I go back in my memories, and when I was a student, I never knew the importance of anatomy and biomechanics, which was the foundation. And we all know, foundation is the basis of any building. So if we don't really excel in our anatomy and biomechanics, we cannot diagnose a patient anytime. And if we cannot diagnose, n number of techniques you learn, but you cannot treat a patient. So the most important aspect I would say is diagnosis in clinical terms, which many physios lack as I teach across. So I really come across so many people who are really not even knowing, they are running good clinics maybe, they have a good practice as well, but they don't know the basic anatomy, they don't know how to palpate few muscles, they don't know what is the specific ligament, what it is doing, etc, etc. But they are performing well, okay, so it's just going with the flow. But if they want to really go into that another level, they need to really excel in diagnosis, okay. Then if I talk about going as an academician, when I teach in my academy, I want to make things very simple. The techniques, the terms, the terminologies which are being used, just taking an example of muscle physiology. It's like one of my favorites, and when I used to learn it during my bachelor's, I could never understand it, because the terms were so difficult to understand, and when I now understood myself and then I teach it to my students, they feel it so easy and they're like, oh my god, now we can really understand what is muscle physiology after so many years. Because I usually teach to the people who are already professionals, like our alumni of Physioneeds Academy, very less population is student. So usually professionals who are already doing good, rather topmost professionals across Bollywood celebrities, those who are serving the Indian teams in various sports, and many other really good professionals who are working at a very good scale. So they are coming and learning, and it's really an honor for me to teach them. I have taught people who are like more than my age. They have the experience. So it's really a great honor, and when they give that feedback, that simple way where you taught, so that particular technique got in the head. So that is the most effective thing which should be there in our teachers, professors, everywhere. So that at that basic level where we don't know how to understand particular thing and what is the importance of that particular subject. So if our teachers are really effective in making us understand the importance of that particular subject, then maybe the things improve in a better way.
Thanks for your feedback, Dr. Chakshu. So now, Professor Sharma, you are one person who is in close proximity with the academia. You have grown through the levels of an HOD, a dean, a vice principal, a vice chancellor. So how can the education system help clinicians cope up with the ever-changing challenges in the clinical practice?
Well, Devesh, before we even go towards the clinicians, we need to understand that these clinicians were once students. So certainly there is an issue in the foundation. I would second the idea of Dr. GD as well as Dr. Chakshu. Yes, curriculum has to be changed, but it's not only the curriculum that has an issue. It's when the academicians who are teaching. At many institutions, you can see that the people who are teaching, they just finished their masters and now they are into teaching. They have no experience in clinical practice. So how can you teach what you have not done? If you go to other countries or many other institutions, there is a new term which has come in the market. It's called professor of practice. So you can be a professor of academics because you did your PhD and you publish some articles and all. But you see, a PhD is knowing so much about so little. It doesn't give you the experience. And you can find a diploma holder or bachelor holder who has more knowledge than a PhD holder, more skills. So it is time to bring these clinicians on board into the institutions, give them the right skills of teaching and learning and clinical and teaching and learning psychology, pedagogy, and enable them to share their experiences into the students. So this is one of the issues of right human resource. Second thing is about you would have learned something in you are a lawyer by profession, and certainly when you were studying in your curriculum, I don't think there were a lot about medical legal, but now you are doing a lot into medical legal because you improved yourself. The same way, the world is a dynamic world. We are living into a global village. The things will always change, whether you like it or not. Trust me, make the best curriculum in the world. Review it after 5 years and you will find that it's an outdated curriculum. So what is more important is to enable the students so that they can teach themselves. At the same time, if you look at different regulatory bodies, they have made it mandatory that people must earn the continuous education points. Because things are changing, the research is always changing, and that's the most beautiful thing. So if you don't study continuously, you're not going to make a difference. So yes, curriculum is fine. Yes, there should be good teachers. Yes, there should be good facilities and equipment. That's another big challenge. The institutions often fail to bring a good equipment, a good set of equipment in the clinic, and for that they need collaboration. In education term, we call it triple helix method, or triple helix approach, where the academia, the governing bodies, I mean the government and the industry work together. Because for example, Dr. Chakshu, for her, it's easy to buy new equipments and discard and dispose the old ones because she's making money out of that. But for an academic institute that's not making money from that, that's got that equipment just for demonstration purpose, that's not cost effective. So there is a lot of difference that we need to do into the academic system. But with the institutions like E-Physioneeds, these problems can be solved, and that's why in E-Physioneeds we also have institutional memberships, so that the educational institutions who cannot keep on board the academicians who can teach the new techniques, they can simply collaborate, and whatever new technique comes in, we can teach. The same way the students can register with us, and then they can learn the new techniques. So there's so many things. Even I'm sorry if I'm talking a lot. Remind me if I'm taking too much time. Let me give an example of Dr. G. I just said. I'm sure he graduated just maybe a decade ago, and now in his own clinical practice. But if you ask him, it would have been really difficult for him to first even know how to start a setup, how to register the basic company, how to make sure that you are well compliant with your taxations, with your regulatory bodies, how to make sure that, I mean, there are a lot of things behind that. And I think this kind of a holistic approach of training is required, which is missing in the curricula, and I'm sure mostly it will always be missing, and that's why there is need of institutions like E-Physioneeds that can give a holistic guidance and holistic mentorship to such clinicians and students.
Okay. So now we talk about some hidden opportunities for clinicians. So Dr. Chakshu, you have interacted with tens of thousands of healthcare professionals across the world. You know, they have their hobbies, they have their passions. Do you feel that sometimes they're not able to cope up with their hobbies and passions and they feel frustrated? So what are the basic reasons and how can we address them in E-Physioneeds?
True, many a times. And when I interact with my team, like I have many people who are working with me, and they have different talents. Some can draw really well, they are really good, artists, and some can write. Just if they want to write an article, it can be just out of the world. Okay, so they are so good at it, but it is just hidden. They don't know about it. So when I just keep picking them, and I just try to push them a bit. Yes, you can do it. Maybe I just try to motivate them, and that talent comes out. So maybe they need to know these talents inside. And I read a story somewhere. I don't really remember completely, but it is some upcoming stand-up comedian, and she was into some job, a very boring job. She didn't want to, but that particular job actually landed her up into her this stand-up comedian.
Okay.
Yes, because she was so fed up of doing that particular job that she started, putting up the jokes and all. So one of my staff right now, who is working with us, he's really good in this. So whenever we are treating patients, he will always just put some tweak there, which will be like, oh, and everyone will laugh. So we keep working as well as we keep laughing. So we have a stand-up comedian already.
So we can say fun learning.
Yes, exactly. So that way we have great people who are writing really well. So I think we should not be very particular about any 9 to 5 job, but we should actually try to explore ourselves where we are good at. So apart from, definitely, money is the basic need. Okay, so for any, you have to, for the livelihood, it has to be there. But sometimes these opportunities can be, more pushing forward to giving you this money. Just apart from that particular job, it's just you have to be a bit courageous. That's it. So, you
Being a
have
passionate person does help.
kind of, but sometimes your passion is overpowered by your responsibilities.
Yes, yes.
So
Agree.
somewhere we have to balance it. So that is the way. But I really want to emphasize over here, explore yourself, and maybe after your clinical hours, you can just, even if you take out half an hour or 1 hour, it would be enough. Like if I talk about myself, definitely I am a kind of workaholic person. So I wake up till late and I keep writing, I keep doing my academic work, I keep learning, I keep reading. So I do take a lot of time on all this because I don't want to be just a clinician, but a lot more.
That's a very valuable feedback for all of us. So Professor Sharma, so I address you as a professor, but you have very multifaceted qualities like you are an academician, you are a researcher, you are a musician, you are a writer. How do you balance all these in your daily life? And what are the tips that you can give to the clinicians who want to explore these new opportunities?
Well, first of all, I don't agree with the term balancing. You can never balance. It's impossible. You can't. All you have to do is to integrate. Even in work life, earlier we used to talk about work-life balance, but it is not actually practically possible with the era of WhatsApp. When you're sitting at home and your client certainly is calling you from the jail that Mr. Davis, please come and get a bail for me. Certainly you cannot have a balance. Your wife would be very much annoyed. So of course you cannot balance, but you need to integrate. But yes, when it comes to hobbies and hidden opportunities, I don't remember the actor, but one actor once said that "Muflisi mein creativity nahi aati." You can't be creative when you're poor. So your creativity or your hobby should pay off. So if I'm making music, I have to make sure that I recover the money I'm spending in that. If I write, I must make sure that I must get money out of that. When we talk about hidden opportunities, see, we all are blessed. We all have different talents. Sometimes we even make fun of that. Just like Dr. Chakshu said that there is one of his employees cracks jokes all the day while treating the patient. But that's something is already adding value. The patient comes in with the negative mindset, comes all tired, all rusted, but as soon as the patient comes in, it's all the contribution towards mental health. There are many things, for example, like usually the girls, I'm sorry, I'm not against the boys, but the girls are usually grammar Nazi. If I'm talking, they say, oh, you know, Professor Krishna said something, the grammar was wrong there, the comma is wrong, but why don't you make money out of that? There are many people, if Dr. Krishna is writing a book, he needs someone who can come and edit it for him. So why don't you come and use your grammar Nazi techniques for that? Many people are bilingual, multilingual. Why don't they come and simply do the translation? It pays off. Many people, if you do nothing, to be honest, like nowadays, in the era of social media, the problem of people is that their fingers work faster than their brains. So they type faster than they can think. And that's why they do a lot of funny things on internet. Why don't you use your typing skills, man? You just listen to the videos, type it, it pays off. It's called transcription. So there are so many opportunities. The problem is that people are not aware of it. They don't know how to make money from that. They don't know if it is real, and they don't have the link. And these are things that we should have been taught in the school, in our college. But we somehow landed on these. We learned from trial and error. We went in E-Physioneeds Academy. There are a lot of collaborations with different organizations where they contact the E-Physioneeds Academy that we need someone to write, let's say, product description. Like if, let's say, Dr. GD is starting his center, or any of the viewers starting the center, and they want something to be written on the website. They're either too busy, or they're not that creative, or they think it's not a cup of tea. They can pay the money to you to write for them, because you are physio, you can write better than any other English speaker. So why don't you do that? There are literally so many opportunities. I think in our last book that we published together, of the book on KKMP, all the medical illustrations were done by one of her staff. And she was really good at that, and I don't know, who was she?
Yeah.
Rupanjali, yeah. So she was good at that, but she didn't know she could make money out of that. So she did for our book. Yeah, we gave her something for a coffee or two, but at that time it motivated her, and that's what is important these days, and especially this COVID era, which has somehow actually jump-started the whole thing, and it is not a good thing, but somehow it has opened the eyes. Nowadays, no one is going to pay just to warm the chair. You can do the work from your home. You can warm your. So these are the opportunities which are available, right? There people are looking for human resources who can do the work, but there is no bridge in between, and that's why E-Physioneeds is trying to do provide that bridge between these two.
Definitely. So we basically want to provide that learning with earning opportunities.
Exactly.
Usually, many of I'm sorry, I'm just verging inside, but I just wanted to add up here. Many of the professionals, they are always switching over, from physiotherapy to some other profession. Maybe they'll jump on to some MBA program, or maybe some hospital administration business, blah blah blah. And they don't want to identify the opportunities already in our own this thing, physiotherapy. There are so many, inspirations in physiotherapy from where you can actually get inspired from. They will feel, no, there is nothing in physiotherapy. You cannot earn. You can just do either home visits, or you can run a clinic, and at clinic you don't get patients. Then you get sad. You get upset. You don't want to identify what is lagging inside, why the patient is not coming to you. So there must be something which is missing. So you just have to find that missing link, that's it. And otherwise, even apart from this clinic and home visits, there is lot what you can do actually. So on our platform, we are just trying to provide that platform to you people who have the talent, and it's all yours.
That's a good amount of light that you've thrown on the topic. So thanks a lot for that again. So I would like to discuss now some entrepreneurship skills for health professionals. So over to you, Dr. Chakshu. You are a reputed healthcare entrepreneur. You own a clinic of, a chain of pain-free zone clinics, which is doing very well across Delhi. So what is your assumption on the question that everybody is not an entrepreneur? So how do you answer that?
True, very true. Definitely everybody cannot. And why should everyone, be so?
That's limit our opportunity.
Yeah, actually, why should they steal our opportunities?
Yeah, but in the opportunities, the problem is that the talent is equally distributed, but opportunities are not.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't agree on this. Opportunities we need to identify sometimes, and talent can be hidden. So we need to actually explore it inside, and sometimes we have to build it up as well. Sometimes anything which can motivate you, for one it can be success, for the other one it can be money. So that motivation has to be there for anything. And one word I would say, grit. For anything, whether you're professional or anything which you want to do, you need that grit. So if you have that grit, you can achieve anything. Whether you want to be an entrepreneur, best academician, clinician, whatever. You just need to be very dedicated and day night, only that focus should be in your mind and you will follow. That's it.
But you see, sometimes people may have the grit, but they don't have the resources to do that. They don't have the sufficient knowledge, given. For example, yes, I may have a good idea, but I may be a good thinker, but I may not be a good planner.
Yeah.
I may be a good planner, but I may not be a good executor. How to bind that team, how to bring the right people together to fulfill the dreams. At the same time, when we talk about entrepreneurship, the biggest problem in our academic system and education system, and even in the real life, is that everyone wants to be a specialist. The world doesn't need specialists. The world needs polymaths, the people who can do multiple things together. Tell me, did you give the contract of making your first website to someone, or you did yourself on WordPress? I'm sure you would have done it. I did the same. I did the same. Because why should I pay to make my website during that time? Yes, when I'm busy, then I can do that, right? Even in the normal life, when we buy a car, do we keep the driver immediately? No, we drive unless we become too busy to that we can't drive. But people don't have that exposure. That's the biggest problem. They want to be an entrepreneur. They have good ideas, but the ideas never come to them. They don't even see a daylight. You see, majority of these startups die. Majority of these startups don't even see the third year. And there's a reason behind it. We don't train them for that. When we studied, I don't know what was taught in LLB and in your MBA marketing. Well, MBA marketing is marketing. When I did my bachelor's, I was never taught how to do marketing. I was never taught financial management. I was not taught how to do SWOT analysis. I was not taught how to do strategic planning. I was not taught how to do project management. I was not taught how to do budgeting. I was not taught what's the importance of your balance sheet, how to see the balance sheet, how to do the registration, how to make the contract, what are the human resource laws, how to put someone. And I'm sure you are here.
Yes.
You can share from your experience. Certainly, you have seen people and clinicians who just because of a minor, excuse my French, silly mistakes, they ended up paying so much. I would like you to share at this moment. Because entrepreneurship is so much.
One is one of the cases around in something that happened with one of the doctors. So he was booked under the Consumer Protection Act and he has to pay a hefty amount out of his pocket just for not getting enrolled with some of the lawyer or some firm. Like E-Physioneeds is into providing legal assistance as well. So if he would have contacted a company like us, so would have saved them and we would have presented his case in front of the court.
Definitely.
So we do, because lack of knowledge is dangerous. Half knowledge is more dangerous than that.
Lack of knowledge as well as lack of awareness. Long back when I was starting my career, definitely I didn't know many things. And I didn't know, like whom to approach, whom to ask about those particular things. So I tried to find, and ultimately I got the answer. But if you have that platform where you can just put the problem and you get the solution, oh my god, I wish I could have that that time.
Now
So exactly, like I didn't know how to register the company. I should register a trust, or I should register an OPC, or maybe a society. What should be done? What is the right way? How to make a contract? as an employer, I get many issues with the staff because they know I am a good teacher, so they just want to come, train under me, and then just go. So that contract part and a lot of these kind of problems I had, faced in my different aspects of work. So if we, if I had you earlier, it would have been very easy for me. So get the advice at every step. So in E-Physioneeds, definitely you have really helped us to cope up different contracts, different agreements with different people. If you have to, just get connected to some faculty, you need to have a proper agreement so that later on they don't face any problem, we don't face any problem. So for all this, really we need that legal advice and a proper, connection where actually a proper platform where we can go, we can get the solution. And apart from legal issues, there are so many other things as well. How to implement something, like as Dr. Krishna said just now about the marketing and all. Definitely about the budgeting. People are really poor in startups. As he was mentioning over here, many startups fail. Definitely they fail. And I read about many startups, and the storyline was the same. Why they failed? Because of the extra investment on useless things, I would say. Okay, where they could have saved money, they just invested unnecessarily. Okay, and why do you just waste? You're just wasting money where you can actually just absorb that amount for later on. Maybe you need you need that fund for some particular important thing which is easily avoidable at the step. So maybe I can do that because I'm a bunny and I'm proud. I'm really proud about it. So I'm really good. So in that, why? Because I know how to spend a particular amount and on what I should spend that. Okay. So that thing you need to learn. So if you invest maybe 1 crore on a clinic and you are not getting and you'll be so upset in the first month itself that oh my god, I really invested so hard and you are really bad in marketing. Then what will you do? You are not getting a good marketing person. Then what will you do? So your machines cannot fetch the patients in. So
But challenge, see, Dr. Chakshi, you had an early exposure. You come from a family that has businesses. But for majority of us, I'm not coming from business background. I didn't know how to manage my cash flow. I don't know what is working capital. For you, it might be quite a simple thing because you have been hearing about it.
It wasn't.
Okay, no. Well, Freya, then say
because
it.
my father, he's a transporter. He's a big businessman. For him, physiotherapy was just a peanut, and he was like, "Why are you working? Oh my God, this is not your cup of tea. You shouldn't work like this." And for him, I was doing a petty job.
But I'm sure now he must be proud of
Now
you.
he's proud.
Yeah.
Now he's like, "Oh my God, you have really, reached a certain level where I'm proud of you."
Because he had not seen any physio like this.
Exactly.
So somehow when we are failing to market ourselves, we are failing to market our own profession.
Exactly.
So yes, there are a lot of challenges, and these things these things come from experience. Or education can also give you this, but you'll not be able to implement because there's a huge gap between what you read and what really happens in the field.
Yeah.
So now, Dr. Chakshu, another question for you,
Sure.
as you are a multifaceted person. So what are the relevant skills that you find are very crucial for the healthcare professionals that you have learned throughout your journey?
Okay, a very good question, Mr. Devesh here. I graduated in 2008, and when I graduated, I discussed when I did my internship from Army Hospital. It's a very reputed hospital, and I really learned a lot there. But after doing the internship, I was like, what to do now? What next? I was feeling like there is nothing in physiotherapy. Just putting the modality, switching it on and switching it off, and doing some passive movements, doing some of the exercises, isometrics, this, that, and done. Oh my God, is this what I'm doing? Is this what I'm going to do actually? I was really pissed off, really. And then I discussed with my family, and they were like, you need not work. You don't need to work. So I was like, no, but I know I don't need to work, but I want to work. So then I started a clinic where I sat without any patient for 1 month.
Oh.
I still remember that
Can I
phase.
come in a soul search?
You know? So that time I was like, oh my god, every day I'm going in the morning and coming in the afternoon without seeing even a single patient. What is happening? This is not right. This is not me. Then I wanted to explore. I started exploring that there is a lot actually we didn't learn in our college, which we never knew. And if we talk about the Western countries, they are doing a lot of manual therapy. They were doing actually that time. And in India, it was not really common as it is now. Because of, thanks to all these workshops, few people definitely criticize the workshop and few people are really favoring them. But I don't want to get into that debate. I just want to emphasize over here into good teaching and good learning. That's it. Okay, so that particular phase of my life, like almost 2 years, I just dedicated for myself. I didn't shut off my clinic, but I kept learning. And I was really not satisfied with the journey where I was heading to. So I studied. I did manual therapy, I did dry needling. When I went for the dry needling workshop, I really didn't know what is dry needling. I didn't even knew about it, like, is this for muscle or joint or what? It was so new to India. It was like first time in India. And then when I learned and I liked it, but I didn't know that, okay, what is going to happen next? Am I going to apply it or not? So later on when I applied it, it really showed magical results. Then I got that U-turn maybe. And from there, I decided I am going to stay here. There is something in physiotherapy which we don't know, which Indian physios maybe don't know, or maybe other developing countries or underdeveloped countries, they are not knowing those techniques which are really, really important. So some of the techniques are, as you questioned me about different techniques. So it was like manual therapy, it can be soft tissue mobilizations, it can be joint mobilizations, then dry needling, taping, ISTM, different positional releases, stretching techniques in a proper way. Okay, then there are different neuro techniques, PNM, and a lot of techniques actually. Okay, then again I'm going to emphasize over here is the diagnosis. In any of the workshop, all the alumni, they know, I emphasize the whole day in the workshop about the palpation, about the assessment, about the surface markings, about the biomechanics, about the diagnosis. I never teach the technique only, I teach them actually how to treat that patient as a whole. So I just actually request everyone to integrate everything and then apply. And definitely you are going to get the results. So any one person can do the same thing, and if the other person does the same thing, maybe he gets the result and this one doesn't get. So definitely there must be some difference. So that skill you have to learn to be on that, tip.
Right.
Yeah.
Learn, unlearn, and relearn. Like
Yeah.
someone said that in this era, the illiterates would not be those who can't read and write, but it would be those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Definitely.
And here, when we talk about the relearning, you should have all these skills, like you said, you give the technical knowledge, you give them the exposure, you give them, the experience. I think those all are important, because that's what lacking in our curricula. We usually focus on giving them knowledge and skill, but not the attitude. And when we give the attitude, it's not all. When we talk about us as human beings, we have cognition, we have affection, we have psychomotor skills. And if you don't have a proper balance, then you go into the first phase, like you were saying, is it physiotherapy? What am I doing? There's something wrong. It was like in Greek mythology, there are two pigments. There's Eros, there's Thanos. Eros is the one which is in charge of all the positivity. Then there's opposite to that is Thanos, which is in charge of all the negative. There's one more brother, Hypnos, who is in charge of sleeping. maybe a good disciple of fitness. But you may be very good at your cognitive skills, your psychomotor skills, but if your affection is affected, if you have shifted from Eros to Thomas, you commit suicide, like what happened to Sushant Singh and other, I don't know whether it was murder or suicide, whatever. But you see, this is the holistic approach which we elect. We graduate the students and we literally leave them in the field like orphans. And they go and start struggling to find their way. We think we have scripted them. No, we have not. I mean, who's the right evaluator of a student? Is it a professor? No, not at all. Is the client who's the real evaluator? Is the employee who is the real evaluator? Now, when clients come to you, do they will ask you, okay, I have a criminal case. How much did you score in your criminal? No.
They ask me that.
Exactly. When they come to us, they don't ask me, okay, professor, show me your mark sheet. Let me see how much did you score in neurology before you teach me neurology. It's more about what you can deliver instead of what you can cram.
So now how?
I just want to, ask you a question in turn. Actually, there are a lot of people who really lack this awareness about your aspect, as I talked about.
Yes.
So I really want you to throw some light on that.
See, I'm dealing in medical legal cases, and E-Physioneeds also we are taking care of that. So what happens is, we are into daily contracts with everybody. Now we feel, okay, if you have signed something, that's a contract. But I feel even if you are buying something online and you're getting that product delivered to your place, so that itself constitutes a contract. But then that's an oral contract, which is very tough to be proved in the court of law. So if you have something written that safeguards you from the unexpected expectations of the patients, you take a consent form, a very important aspect of the medical field, taking a consent, because if you don't take that consent, you can be held liable for negligence. And there are feedback forms, there are agreements, there are MOUs, there are NDAs, there are so many things that even the medical professionals are not aware about. So I feel everybody should adhere to the norms. There is governance, which is updating of the knowledge given by the government on day-to-day basis. Today is a dynamic world. It keeps on changing every day. There is every new technology, every new law coming up every minute. So that we have witnessed, obviously in the COVID era, that every day we need to check what is the the SOPs for the reopening, the unlock 1, 2, 3, 4. So I feel that everybody should be aware about the legal laws and should at least adhere to them, so that they are saved of the cost of litigation. End of the day, you don't feel that okay, I would have taken a legal advice or I would have adhered to the practice that is important for me to follow. So you would have saved from litigation. So that is what answer to your question.
Just to add on what Advocate Devesh is saying, sometimes people think that you have to go to a lawyer only when you are in the court, but it's not the truth. What I learned during the little journey I'm having, even when we make a basic contract, even if we have a template, we must go to the lawyer before committing anything. Nowadays, if you see, many people have the form where patient can fill the declaration form, but like in Urdu they say, "Ek nukhte se khuda juda ho gaya." But they don't know where to put comma, where to put the full stop. Just by the change in the word like will and shall, the whole thing changes. When you use shall, you are binding yourself. You must do that. When you use will, there's so many technical things they don't even imagine. And that's why they must go and consult a lawyer. Even if they think, let me give an example of a professor.
Just the way we did.
Indeed, exactly. Exactly.
We were so confused about our agreement for this one. So we were like thinking, okay, let's go for a verbal one or what? Then we decided, no, it cannot be.
There's so many things tomorrow.
And we finally headed to you.
Tomorrow, you don't know what is going to take. And like that day you were saying that during COVID, people are frustrated.
Yes.
They want just an excuse to sue you.
Yes.
They find a way to sue you, and then you'll be stuck there over and over again.
Yes.
They don't have, how much do they spend in consumer court?
The jurisdictions have been increased. Probably the district forum can now give you a crore of compensation
You see?
State can give you 5 crores, and NC, National Commission can give you 10 crores. With a lot of competition and.
Miss, I have to sell my kidney and a part of liver and maybe hand.
I must update you about a case that happened in the south, and it is a very small case. I don't think anybody would be aware of it, but you will see a Nescafe pouch that's costing just 2 rupees for us.
Yeah.
So a person sued Nescafe in the court for 10 grams of coffee, and that 10 grams he was compensated 50 lakhs
Oh my god.
by the court.
Really?
So,
Let me buy a coffee. We are in an opportunities, yes, viewers. That's one of the new.
I don't urge everybody to buy Nescafe pouches and then give me a call. But yes, that happens. So, these are the norms which are very required and they are mandatory to be followed. Because if you're writing something on the packet, okay, this is 20 grams, it has to be 20 grams. So similarly for our medical field, we cannot satisfy all the patients, we cannot satisfy everybody, so it has to be written so that you are safeguarded against their expectations that they expect out of you. So you are in a tough job. So.
Yeah, so in fact, what you put on paper, they say when you sign, it's going to be used against you.
Yes.
When you're writing a prescription, even if you're anything, even on your letterhead, has to be actually reviewed by a lawyer.
Yes.
Anything you are doing, when it comes to a document you are going to sign, you must go to a lawyer. But people usually underestimate it. But yes, once their fingers are burned, by that time it's usually too late.
Yes.
Actually, and I learned from that. I want to just share one of my experience. Usually, when patients come to your clinic, they really expect a lot, okay? Because they have heard a lot about you. So they just want magic in one day, okay? Otherwise, they were going for a surgery, but they want you to do the magic so that they can avoid the surgery and you do the treatment and they are just, happy and going. So a few cases actually made me learn that I need to change the documentation. So I actually changed the record cards of my clinic, and what I did here was like I usually, previously it was just the entry kind of thing. They used to sign, okay, they are coming and they are going, that's it. But then I started taking the feedback of the patient every day, or otherwise at least every alternate day. So my receptionist will be taking the feedback every alternate day with the signatures of the patient. Okay, so they can either mention it in VAS scale or maybe they can just write in their own language that pain is better or what. Otherwise, what happened long back when I was not doing this, patient used to say to my team that the physio who was treating that pain is just like the same as it was on day one. And when I went and I interrogated and I asked, then the story was different. Then they could tell me, previously it was all over here and here, but now I am having pain, but okay, then I have to interrogate. Where is the pain left? Okay, so it was definitely here and here, but right now where do you have pain? Now I just have it here. So this here and here is vanished, so that is the improvement. You need to tell me. So I train my team about that how you have to actually get the recovery, how they are getting recovered in that. So now we are documenting that, so that otherwise after 10 days or 20 days of treatment, patient cannot say that I didn't get relief. Right. And if he says that or she says that, then we cannot do anything. Then they can put some reviews, they can just harass you, they can just stress you out basically. Right. Even one stressy thing in a day spoils your day.
True.
Yeah. So I really didn't want that mess in my life, so I started this, and it really helped me. So just a small change, but it was
a very good bit of advice by you, Dr.
Yeah.
Jamshid. In fact, everybody should incorporate it because there are no parameters to measure the amount of treatment that you're given to your patient
exactly
and how satisfied they are. So that's
and my doctors were also really irritated of this. That ma'am, they are saying that pain is not better, but when we are assessing pain is better,
Right.
Then of course I had experience and maybe I am a bit maybe I don't have the word for that.
That's why we call you a multifaceted person and you use your entrepreneurial approach to get the things done, which is very important these days in customer survey.
Yeah.
You have already taken a CSAT and says, okay, the customer was satisfied when he left your premises. So probably that safeguards your interest, even if the code of coffee stands up. So probably that's a good exercise. Okay, so over to you, Professor Krishna. You are certainly you have done into governance, you are into governance, you are into administration, you are into management. So I feel it would have been a bit bumpy ride. So if I ask you a question, that what you wish that you would have been taught so that the ride would have been much easier.
Well, I think the biggest problem in the education system is that we are taught to become an employee, to work under someone. Doing a job is a good thing, you gain experience, it's important. But at the same time, when you start growing through the ladder, it becomes more difficult because then you start doing the things you had never done. Earlier you used to follow the decisions, now you have to take the decisions while protecting the interest of the institution. So of course legal things were very difficult for me to understand. Finances, I was never taught in my academics. Yes, in masters they teach a bit of management and administration, but that's not enough.
Just for the namesake.
Exactly. When you have to do marketing of the institution as a CEO, then you have to take certain decisions. You need to know because as a leader, you don't have to know everything.
Yes.
Someone taught me. You don't have to know everything, but you have to know a little bit so that, again, excuse my French, people don't bullshit you. So you need to know at least that bit. And for that, I think the key principle I followed was what Newton used to say a lot. It's the Latin terminology, nanos gigantum humanis incidentis. You can see far while standing on the shoulder of the giants. So when you start consulting people who are more senior than you, who have the experience in that field, who have gone through what you are about to go through, your ride becomes smoother. Yes, so indeed it had been a bumpy ride, but yes, I had those shock absorbers in the form of my seniors. So it's very important for people to consult, get in touch. Someone said that many people want to learn anything because they think they already know it.
Right.
So even if you think you know it, at least try to learn something new or just see what new is being taught.
Right. That's a good piece of advice from Professor Sharma. Right. So over to you, Kanika.
Yeah, finally the time has come to launch the
Yes.
launch the website.
Yes.
Okay, so as per protocol, Kanika is going to join.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to invite Professor Krishna to start
Yes.
to start the presentation.
Yeah. Thank you. Let me borrow your
Sure.
so that we do it.
I think they need to switch over to other window.
Yeah, sure. So there is, I believe it's EPN. Just hold on. My window is
I think you get two.
EPN2, I believe. So yeah.
Yeah.
So my window is EPN2, and I'm going to share the screen of the presentation.
Kindly switch
Switch
over
over to E2, EPN2.
EPN2.
Let me share my screen.
You need to just single click on that. It must be showing E2.
Please bear with me. I'm growing a bit old, so finding it a bit difficult to see the option to share the screen. Can you help me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to share the screen. That's right. Okay, okay. Thank you. Okay, great. So, I thank you again for being part of this launch. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. Let me briefly take you through a brief presentation on E-Physioneeds Academy to explain how this academy is going to solve the problems we have been discussing about. So we realized the challenges, of course, after stakeholder consultations. We consulted the employers, we consulted the students, we consulted the graduates, we consulted the patients, and we realized that the major challenges are lack of confidence on quality of treatment protocol. People have inadequate diagnostic skills. They have conflicting and confusing clinical decision making, inadequate knowledge and confidence while explaining other health professionals and patients the rationale behind the treatment, and that sometimes bring the clashes. Insufficient speed of revenue growth, that's a big problem, everyone needs money. longer and tiresome and boring working hours, lack of diverse income sources. So when we identified, we strengthen ourselves in order to solve this problem. So the strengths of EPN are that all instructors are experienced clinicians who have come now to academia to share their skills and experience. They are trained into teaching methodology and learning psychology so that they can effectively transfer the knowledge and skills and experience. The training is accredited by relevant accreditation agencies and bodies. And all the courses are strongly, really strongly backed up with anatomy and biomechanics so that the students and professionals understand the rationale behind that. All the techniques are result-oriented. That's a big problem these days. You open a book and you find hundreds of thousands of techniques, but which are actually result-oriented. So the techniques are hand-picked based on the clinical experience. Then the language has been simplified so that you understand it better and you can explain it well with other people. The instructors are entrepreneurs, so they always give that bit of, in Hindi we call it tarka, of their entrepreneurship experience. Then we enhance your skills to a level where your client and patients will be happy to pay for faster and effectively outcome. That's a big problem. I'm sure even in the law firms it would be. People are competing by reducing the prices, not by increasing their delivery and the value they can give to their clients. That's a big problem. So here we are going to increase your capacity and capability and knowledge, attitude and skills so that you can charge what you deserve and patient can pay what level of satisfaction you give. And that's why we are also giving hands-on techniques, hand-picked techniques indeed. At the same time, we are providing, most importantly, the freelancing opportunities as we were discussing about. And at the end, which is most important, legal advice, assistance and services, because whatever you do, by the time you put your signature on a paper, is going to be used against you. So we provide that one-point solution. So these are the services EPN is offering, online courses of course. We have premium webinar services, and every month we'll have some webinars. For example, if we can do a webinar on medical legal issues, we can do a webinar on the recent advantages. There's so many things people need to be taught about. They need to learn how to manage their cash flow during the COVID period, how to capitalize on this pandemic. So there's so many things we can talk about. We have a magazine coming up called Physioscoops that will have a reach of almost 100,000 of patients as well as the healthcare professionals, which will be a very good initiative. We have services on medical illustrations and images. We have research and publications, and of course we have membership where you can access all these. So these are the solutions. For example, we have home care services that we don't do it as E-Physioneeds, but we have collaborations with different clinics and different hospitals where if they need a physiotherapist who needs to provide a home visit or yoga practitioner, we share the database of that hospital or that requirement with our alumni or the students who have studied from us or the people who have registered with us. At the same time, many people want e-consultation. So we can do that too. Video lessons, live sessions, research, legal services, writing and translation. So our mission is learning and earning. So you can see on your screen, I don't know if you're seeing it. You can see on the screen there are many opportunities